Hello, my name is Eric Hughes, a librarian with the Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library. I'm here to talk to you today about some library business databases that we have on offer for those of you who may be interested in learning more about running a business, starting a business, or finding out information to support your business. Okay, we're going to start out by going to the library's homepage, which is at the URL hcplc.org. And you can remember that because it stands for Hillsborough County Public Library Cooperative, hcplc.org. And this is our gateway to all of the services that the library has to offer. And basically we see here in the top right are the menus to library resources and services. We don't have to go very far down the page to find what we're looking for because we're going to navigate right to learning and research. So I'll go ahead and click on that menu up here at the top. When we get to the learning and research page, we'll see that if we scroll down just a little bit, things are already categorized for users according to what they may be interested in and what they may be trying to accomplish. If we scroll down just a tiny bit, we'll see what we're interested in, business and investments. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to that page. When we've arrived here, we see again that things are organized according to different uses. But what we're seeing are databases that we can use to gather information. Up here, company information. A little bit further down, if you're into investing, there's some resources there. And then further down, we get into entrepreneurship and links to some other websites as well as a database. And then some other things that may be of interest, just some general business articles. And we also offer pre-made legal forms if you're interested in browsing through some of those in case you're setting up legal documents. But for today's class, we're going to focus on these three items at the top, the company information. Through these three databases, we can find information, of course, about companies, financial information. We can find locations of businesses, who's in charge of those businesses, and that kind of information. We can also find information about people, customers who live in a certain geographic area, how much do they spend on certain goods and services, and all of that helpful information that can help you to determine maybe where you want to start a business or how much people are actually spending on the goods and services you provide, or if you're offering to your business to other businesses, you can find how much budget they have for that kind of stuff, all within these databases. Let's begin by looking at our first database that I want to demonstrate for you today, which is Reference Solutions. And if you have been a library user in the past, you can see that this used to be called Reference USA, so now it's owned by a different company. They've changed the name, but it still works pretty much the same as always. So if we navigate to this database, you will go to your login screen where you put in your library card and your password. Now, just as a reminder, your library card number you'll have, and if you don't know what your password is, it's by default the last 4 digits of your phone number. So whenever there's some library resource that asks for a password and you don't remember ever setting up a password, just remember it's the last 4 digits of your phone number unless you have changed that. Okay, so then we'll head on over to Reference Solutions. Now, just taking a quick browse at what we're looking at here and what may be of interest to you. Before we get into anything, I do want to just point out that they do offer webinars in case you're interested in some further instruction on this database. You can see some things, and they are live usually twice a month, some of these webinars. So just keep that in mind. And they also have a learning center up at the top that has documents for people to learn how to use some of these data, some aspects of this database. But today I'm just going to give you a brief show of how it works. And if we just kind of take a look down here, we'll see what it has to offer. U.S. businesses, which is going to be of interest to us. Canadian businesses, if you happen to be planning on doing a business in Canada, but we're not going to really look at that today. We have U.S. new businesses. These are ones that have just opened in the past year or so, in case maybe you have a business-to-business service that you're planning on providing. You can see who's newly opened. Maybe you want to try to get their business publishing their menus or whatever they may need at startup. We have the white pages, which is just as it sounds, people's addresses and phone numbers, although this only shows phone numbers of landlines. Historical businesses, this is records of businesses that may no longer exist, but if you perhaps you're looking for something that was in a location, you have an address and you want to see all the businesses that were in that address, that could be a use of that. Jobs and internships, they have a partnership with Indeed that they post job postings for any of these businesses that are listed here. Finding healthcare. And consumers and lifestyles, this one would be of interest to us, and we'll take a look at that later. This will show us what people are doing with their money, where do they live. And then U.S. new movers and homeowners, if you are marketing to people in a geographic area and you've already covered that area, maybe periodically you want to swing back by and see if anyone is new to town, you can come here and take a look at U.S. new movers and homeowners. So basically, those are the services that you can find here in Reference Solutions. Okay, let's get into seeing what Reference Solutions has to offer us. We're going to start out by looking into some U.S. businesses. So I'm just going to click over here, and we're going to get going. So immediately we see two options, quick search and advanced search. And although I always would recommend an advanced search, we're going to just do a quick search for Columbia Restaurant over here. And I'm going to go ahead and put in Tampa just to take a look at what records look like in the U.S. business database. So let me go ahead and click on those results. We get this list, and we see there's a few iterations of the Columbia Restaurant. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the Columbia Restaurant, the parent company. And that brings us to a typical record. We're going to go down and look at this record and, so we can all get a good sense of what is here. First of all, we're looking at the top. We see that this is a verified record. That means that this business has been verified by the company, that the information is accurate here, and that we can reasonably rely on it. Now, there are other records in the database that are unverified. That doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily wrong with them, but that they have not been certified to be the correct information. However, you may want to take a look at unverified records. Anyways, it could be that they're new, a new business or something, perhaps, and they just haven't been verified yet. Okay, so we get the basic information up here, phone numbers, addresses, where they're located. And then we see down here, we have the job listings. These are jobs that are posted through Indeed for this company. In case you're interested in that, I'm going to collapse it. Now we get down to the industry profile, and we see the SIC code here, and that it is a restaurant. It's following the restaurant code. And there may be other codes for secondary services. Sometimes, like an example of this would be if you have a bowling alley, but it has a restaurant in the back, you would still get that in results if you did restaurant searches in your secondary results. But that's not the primary business. The primary business would be a bowling alley. So you have those options, and we'll see that again when we go back to our advanced search. We're going to cruise down here a little bit. And we get down to demographics, and we can see sales volume. It's a private business. This is a single location. We get their employee numbers, whether or not they accept credit cards, how big they are in their location, their credit rating, and of course their famous year established 1905. All right, so just take a look at that. If there is anything of interest to you there, keep that in mind. We also have the management directory. So as of 2020, these were the people who were in charge of this location. And it does provide an ethnicity, which could be useful, for example, if you're looking for businesses that are headed up by African Americans, women. We have gender here, and in this case, Mediterranean backgrounds. No stock information because they're private. Here we get down to what they're spending their money on. If you are looking for a way in with them, perhaps you might look through this list and okay, they're not spending a lot of money on print materials, so maybe that's not a good business for them. But if you think you can save them money in one of these other areas, perhaps that's a good thing to know about a business. And we have their sales volume. They're in the over the mid 200s. And then their employee size. I'm assuming that they were not in the, they've only been in the database, actually we saw up above since here. So it's not that they had no sales, obviously, but they were not in the database. We saw that. And then just a little bit of the history, starting in 2018 when they entered the database, and who's been in charge that whole time and where they've been located. So they've been in the same place, of course, same director. And then there's a few other things down here that are of interest. UCC filings, if they have credit holds against them, they don't, so we won't look at that. You want to see what businesses may be nearby. You can see their neighbors here. In case you're kind of thinking of a sales route or something, you're going to talk to these guys, you might want to see who else is there. And then a competitors report, which is kind of the same. It's just right here, these guys all happen to be in the same area. So these guys might be similar businesses that are close by. Maybe that would be a nice thing for you just to get a little shortcut and you're thinking of trying to visit a bunch of places at one time or market to similar places. You can see them all right there. Okay, so that's the basic overview of a typical business record in reference solutions. And I just want to scroll back up to the top and just show you that all of that has a quick link right here on the left side if you want to just jump to a certain section. Okay, so after this, we'll go back and we'll do an advanced search now that we know what we can search by and what kind of information is here. Okay, here we are back at our search screen for reference solutions. Now we're just going to slip on over to advanced search, because this is where we can really dig in to some good comparisons or collecting a group of businesses into certain categories. We see here again verified businesses, but you can also include unverified businesses if you wish. Again, you may be trying to catch some new businesses in town, and they may be in the unverified category. Or if you are wanting to include other businesses that have closed or gone out of businesses, you can also do that. That's up to you. Looking over here to the right, we see we have a view results button, an update count, and a record count. So we are looking at over 16 million records for the whole United States right now. We probably don't want to do that, right? So we want to start coming over here to our search. And you'll see that these categories are the same as what we just saw in the record for the Columbia. Let's take a look at how to start narrowing down some results. Of course, if you have a SIC code or an NAICS code, you could put that in, or a major industry group, restaurants. They give you the codes and those industries right here. If you want to take a look through those, you can keep collapsing down to smaller and smaller groups and search away. I'm going to not do that right now just for the sake of brevity. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start with a geography search. And I'm going to start with a map-based search. So when I select an option, you see that it populates right here in the middle. I'm going to open a map. You do not have to do this, but I just want to show you a quick search in this method. And I'm going to go back to 33605, which includes Ybor. Zoom in on that, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So we know there's a lot of businesses in Ybor. So I want to kind of just take a look at this portion of Ybor. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw a shape. And I'm going to select from Palm Avenue. And oops, I'm accidentally moving the map. I'm going to come on over this way a little bit past 22nd Street. Click. I'm going to come down to Adamo Drive. Click. I'm going to swing back over. And back over here to Nebraska. And double click. So I have this nice area here that includes most of the businesses in central Ybor. I see that my shape here has popped up. If I don't like that shape, I can delete it. And there are 725 registered businesses in that geographic area. So what I can do is go back to my searches. We see over here on the right that our record count has changed to reflect 725 businesses in Ybor, where we are interested. So I can continue on now, and I can go down. Maybe I'm looking for businesses of a certain size, so I can select sales volume. And we go back over here to the middle where our options show up. And maybe I'm looking for businesses in the $2.5 to $5 million range. And what I do is I come over here, I view results. No, I'm sorry, I'm going to update my count. So there are 40 businesses in Ybor that do $2.5 to $5 million in sales. So if that's good for me, if I'm like, well, what are those businesses? There's only 40. Let me take a look at what they are. And there's the list. We got Buffalo Wild Wings, Carmine, so we got some restaurants and things here. And there you go, the Improv. These are the businesses in that area in that sales volume range. Up here at the top, we have some options for preparing to maybe if we want to create our final report. Review, we don't need to look at. That's just to review the search criteria we used to get here. Details, the details of that search criteria. I'm going to skip heat map for now and summary and charts. But if you want to come over here to download, you certainly can do that. You have to select. You want all 40 of them. You can download that. And you can get that as an Excel or just a spreadsheet file. You can decide how much of that data you want to download. You want all the data, just the summary of the data, or you want to select your own, download it, or email it to yourself. That's an option. There is a limit on how many you can download, so or print. And then here, if you want to print, it's the same thing. You get the summary, the detailed, or the custom for these records. And then the final option I want to point out at this moment is you can now save your search, but in order to save this particular search that got us to these results, you'll save your search terms, whatever you used to get these results. You do have to make a free account. And that's just so that they have a record to put your searches into. So that's cool. If you feel like you're going to do this search regularly, once every few weeks or months or whatever, save it, and that way you don't have to go through the whole process. Especially if you've gotten a lot more detailed and complicated than I did just to get these 40 results. You may, choose a lot of options, and you just want to save that. It's a very good idea. All right, so to get these 40 results, we did a geographical search with a map, and then we limited it by sales volume size. I'm going to back us up and start again, and I want to show you just a few more features. Okay, let's start over and do another search, and this time we'll use a few different parameters. I'm going to start with a metro area search, and we'll see what is going on in Metro Tampa. So this is, of course, Metro will be outside of the official city limits. It's going to be the whole area of Tampa Bay pretty much. And we'll start by updating our count here. And we have 179,953 businesses listed there. Let's cruise down this direction. We can try to do our sales volume again for, let's say, 1 to 2.5 million in sales. 21,715 businesses that fit that. And if we want to choose anything else like public or private or foreign parent, you could also select that. Let's see here. We'll put one more in here. Only companies that are publicly owned. Let's update our count, and that leaves us with 5. Okay, so that's interesting to know. And if you want to see what the results are, here those are. Oh, Odyssey Marine, that's always an interesting one to read about. I'm going to revise my search. I want to show you some more features. Let's go ahead and just for the sake of argument, we're going to remove that. And I'm going to just go back here to these 21,715. Or maybe just to lower it a little bit, and you can see that I can choose more than one option there. I'm going to crank it up to 500,000 to 1 million, so going up to a slightly larger business. Let's see how many there are of those. 35,191, that's interesting. And I want to show you some features here. So let's go see those results. Here are those businesses. Again, I can't print out all of these businesses at one time because of the limit, but you can save this search if you would like, and you could do multiple prints and saves, but you just can't do it all at once. I want to show you some more of these options up here. I want to show you the heat map. So we have a nice little group of businesses here. And maybe we want to know, where are they? Where are these businesses located? It's going to take just a few moments because that is 35,000 plus records, and it's going to make us a map here. And there they are. So here's the whole metro area, and most businesses we see that are in that range are located pretty much where we would expect them to be located, downtown Tampa, heading out towards West Shore a little bit. And even up here, that's interesting. What is that area? Looks like I guess that's upper, like West Tampa. So that could be of interest to you if you want to know where they're located. And we'll go back. You also have these options up here. There's our sales volume again, and then number of employees, also an option. Where are the larger employers? And you can download this map just as it is and put that right into a report if you like. So you just hit the download button and you'll get an image file of that map. I'm going to show you just a few more things that you may want to take a look at. So that was the heat map. We're going to go to, I want to show you charts. These are pretty cool. What you're going to see here is what are these businesses that are in that range. And we see by far physicians and surgeons are making that kind of money. And then you get dentists, attorneys, insurance down here. Restaurants, a few restaurants are in that category. Apartments and financial advisory services. Here's a citation for that too, if you're putting that in your academic paper or something, and the SIC codes of all those businesses. So that gives you more information for more searching later. And of course, you can download or print this chart just like that. So those are some other handy tools that you can get that helps you with your report. All right, here we are back at our Reference Solutions homepage. I want to show you now the consumer and lifestyle database, and we can see some interesting things here. I'm going to show you a basic record here. I'm just going to see if I can think of a name. I'll put in Susan Thomas, which I've tried before, and I'm going to put in Tampa, and we're just going to go to these results. All right, and then I'm going to choose this Susan Schishinger person, whom I don't know. So this is just a random record, just so I can show you what's in here. So we get the names, addresses of people. It's all public record. How long she's been living at that address. She's married. We see down here her household income estimated by the whatever tax records that they look at, and the estimated home value, which is kind of like the same as Zillow, figuring out what they think your house is worth, and then the census versions of both of those pieces of information, which are of course slightly lower. And then if you're into the census block and the census tract, if you happen to know that, that's amazing. So I don't know where she is located, but there it is, somewhere off of Linebaugh and Countryway, so out there in West Chase. Maybe that's of interest to you. And then we have this lifestyle and interests section. And she has quite a few accessories, general cooking. She's a catalog shopper, family products, child. She uses credit cards. She gives gifts. And she uses the internet. And this information is collected through your, of course, if you use the preferred shopper card or something, any of those discount cards or any of those, even maybe credit card information that they can give out to third parties. That's where that's all collected from. So you are giving away this kind of information when you use those types of services. And not all records have this. This is a good one for this information, but many of them don't have anything down here because you have to hit these categories. I believe it's about 10 times before it'll pop up in here. So if you make a random purchase, it's not like Facebook, all of a sudden you get a bunch of ads for it. You have to make that same kind of purchase numerous times before it will shop up in here or pop up in here. That's how they know you are a typical shopper for those kinds of services. Okay, let's go back and we'll start a new search. Now, of course, we want to maybe compile a possible client list or a marketing list or something like that. So we're going to start to compile and target specific people instead of everyone in the whole country, all these 295 million people. Um, let's see what we can do. So if you happen to be looking for people by a certain name, there you go. Phone numbers or area codes, that's probably not going to help you too much unless you're just trying to look up someone's phone number. Again, we have the geography searches, but we have some different options that we did not have before. We have estimated home value, estimated home income, and then contacts per household. You want to choose if you want everyone in the house or just one per household. Obviously, you don't want to send the same mailer to 3 people in the same house. You just want to send one. So go ahead and switch that over. I'm gonna before we move down to these other categories, I'm gonna go ahead and do a let's just select Tampa here, just to start narrowing it down a little bit. Selecting the city of Tampa. 314,754 records of individual houses in Tampa. And so now, let's say I'm going to open a dog care business. So I'm going to go ahead and hit these lifestyles, and you see you get all these options. And then we can go to pets and animals, but I just want dogs, so I'll get rid of these other guys. Okay, so I'm trying to target people who are dog lovers like me. I love dogs, I want to take care of dogs, and I want to market to other people who are like me. Let me update that count. So there's 8,367 households that are known to be making purchases specifically for dogs. Now, maybe I want to do like really fancy dog care or something like that. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do my estimated home income. And the people who can afford my kind of dog care have to be pretty well off, have a lot of disposable income, because I am going to really pamper these dogs. So I can select maybe household income of 200,000 to just under 250, and this includes this is not individuals. This would be a combined income if there are more than one person in the house. Updating the count, so that gives me 236 people. And of course, if I wanted to break it down even further, I probably am not going to do that at this point. But if I wanted to, if I'm, of course, here's religion or political, if I'm trying to put together a list of people for any of those purposes, if I want to just get people who speak a different language, you see those options here, depending on your business. But just for my dog business, I don't really care about any of this other stuff. So let me go and view those results. Where are these 236 people? Here they are. These are my people right here. And of course, you have the same options up here to get a heat map. If I think they live in a certain area, maybe I want to think about where I'm going to open my dog business. I can take a look at the heat map. Oh yeah, I definitely want to open my dog business over here in Hyde Park or something. That'd be pretty close to a lot of people. Otherwise, definitely not in central Tampa. Those people are not big money spenders on dogs. So you see how that works. Same as before. And then we can go ahead and download or print or save this search just like we did the first time. Again, there are limits to how many you can download at one time. There are 10 pages of these, so if I kept on selecting them, it will put the limit on me sooner or later. I got 75 records selected. I'm at 100. I think I've only got a few more left. Oh, 500 downloads. Oh, I don't have to keep going then. Well, I think they've changed that. Okay, so then once I've got them all selected, I can download or print, just like always, in an Excel record. Here we are back at our business and investments screen, where we can see there are some other databases I would like to demonstrate for you, if I may. And now we're going to look at demographics now. And just like when you click any database, it's going to take you to your login screen with your library card number and your PIN number. And when you sign in, it'll bring you to this home screen, which I'd like to go over with you. So up here at the top, you get to put in your filter. And I've already put in Tampa, but it defaults to the entire US. So you probably want to start by putting in your location that you want to learn about, because all of the data then will just be narrowed down to this place, and that will keep it a lot more manageable and probably a lot more usable to you. After you've got your place set, then you're ready to move on and start looking at some of these other options. And you notice there are tutorials as well for this product, which is very handy. So take a look at some of these videos. They're very short. And this one is actually using Riverview. That's a pretty interesting, just a general overview there of using the product. But I'm going to show you how to use it more in depth right now. So what we have here, we have three basic options up here. We have demographics, we have maps, and we have reports. And I'm going to just show you a few features of each of those. So if we want to look at the demographics of Tampa, what options do we have? You come into these report types, and there's three reports: a comparison, a rank, and a summary. So just so you know, the comparison just shows you, just as it says, what are each of these things. And so if we wanted to see the basic demographics, age by sex, comparison report, how old are people by, and what gender are they, we run the report here, and you'll just get a basic census report. And in fact, most of this information comes from the census. So there you go, and you can see what age people are. And there's females, more females, and we keep going down, males, different ages. So what portion of the population are they? Total numbers, pretty standard report there for the census data. That's just to show you there. Okay. Back to demographics. So we have comparison, and then you have all kinds of options here. Business comparison, and then complete, which is just everybody, not broken down as much. Consumer expenditure, you get these interesting market areas if you're interested in those. We'll take a look at one of those. Just a lot of options there. You can just see the basic census data. So we're going to look at consumer expenditures in restaurant areas. So let's take a look. What kind of restaurants are people enjoying out there? Maybe you're thinking of opening a restaurant. So we have 160,422 households, average household income of $94,383 in Tampa, with the median making $57,785. Total businesses, total number of employees in Tampa. And then we can see how much they're spending on takeaway for each type of area here. Breakfast, catered, dinner, out of town trips, interesting. And then lunches, and snacks. And this is, of course, per year, per household. This is the average. And then we have people are spending on average $67 on alcohol on trips. That seems unlikely because I feel like people take trips and then spend a lot on alcohol, but I don't know how they're tracking that. And then some more eating out options. So this is not groceries. This is eating out and how much people will spend on average for that. And then you have ranking, which will show you the a little bit less detailed report there. So let's try rank by income so you can see what that looks like. So in Tampa, the median income is $57,785, average is $94,383 household, not person. And then you can just see the median age of people in Tampa is 36, and their per capita income is $39,721. Maybe that is of interest to you, but you can definitely get a good feel of, I mean, Tampa is maybe a bit of a younger city looking right now. So maybe you've got some ideas that this helps you confirm or to help support some proposal you might have going on. And you can see what age. So here's the age groups. And the median age, again, 36 that we just saw out of 385,883 people. Getting to know your market a little bit. And then finally, we have summaries, which are pretty interesting because you can see here, you can go through and consumer expenditure, apparel, how much are people spending in Tampa on clothes? And then you get those same numbers we've already seen about age, income, and everything. And then, so households in Tampa are spending about just under $1,200 a year on apparel. And then here's the breakdown of what in particular they are buying. Again, this could be very helpful if you are trying to think of maybe you're opening an apparel shop. What kind of things do you want to sell? You can aim for some of these bigger expenditures, maybe women and girls apparel. That makes sense. Men spending a bit less, it looks like. So I think we have kind of all figured that out by now. But that can give you some ideas on how much people are spending. And if you're thinking you're going to get men to spend a lot of money, you're going to have to think of something cool, perhaps. Okay. Now what we're going to do is come over to the maps. This is a very interesting tool to work with. And this allows us to see where those numbers fit onto the map. So in the demographics, we can see the charts of the numbers. Here in the map, we're going to put those numbers into a geographic location. So we're going to start over here and look at some of the features that we can use on the map. And the first one up here is the thematic controls. And that is basically all of the data and how it's broken down, like we saw in the demographics. So we're going to access this, and I'm going to start down here by choosing a variable. So if I click on this menu, and I'm going to go back to the top, you see what we have a variety of things that we can look at. So depending on what we want to do. For business, we probably want to find out what people are doing with their money and where they're going. But there's other census kind of activities that you can do in here as well. But we're going to just keep going with consumer expenditure. And we'll use the current year estimates. And then we'll take a look at the average expenditures of people like we looked at before, and then we have the breakdown again. So what are they buying? Now, again, if I'm marketing or I'm thinking about where I'm going to open my store or where are my competitors maybe, I can look through these options thinking of where are people spending money. So let me see here. I'm going to go to personal care products and services. That sounds good. And why not? Let's do hair care products. All right. And where are people who spend money on hair care products living? And so basically, we've got the city of Tampa already selected, so we're good. We don't have to do anything else here. We can just enable this. And there it is. It's popped up. And we can see that it will show us, in this case, people who spend money on hair care products. The redder it is, the more there are people there who do that. So boom, shakalaka. So if we can see here in Tampa city limits, it's still filling in here. Okay, it does take a while for it to populate that map, so you do have to be a little bit patient. Okay, I thought it was looking a little bit more yellow than I was expecting. But here we go. We see the redder it is, the more people are spending money on hair care products. So right here in this part of South Tampa, it looks like a good area where people are spending hair care money, but not bad all over South Tampa and up into Hyde Park and West Shore and everything. So you can kind of see how it's all spread out, but then again, it thins out a little bit towards the western portions of town and up near the university areas. So maybe that would influence, where you want to put your store or send marketing materials to. All right, and that's basically as easy as pie right there. If you wanted to change the colors, you could do that. Looking at some other things, you do have geometry tools. If I wanted to select a smaller portion, I can just take the shapes and I'll use a circle here, just like around this area. And then update that. All right, here we go. We're taking a nice zoomed in look at, I'm just gonna try to move it a little bit. Oops, I don't want to move my circle. It does get a little bit weird trying to manipulate the map here. Okay, so we zoomed in on that little area, and maybe that is helpful to you thinking about where you want to locate or market. All right, and then of course down here you have, I'm going to go ahead and collapse the geometry tools. I'm going to, you have your export options. You can print this map, download it, email it, including the legend. You can give it another name. You can download this to place on another map program, perhaps, if you have that. I don't know much about those things, but if that is meaningful to you, definitely do that. And of course, you can add other things to this map, possibly, if you have some other map making software that you're using. All right, so now that I've selected this area, you'll notice up at the top that it's changed my filter to that geometric area, central. So if I wanted to keep going with that, it will relate to other parts of the database now. So let's just take a look at our final option up here, running some reports. So if we open reports, we get different report types. And I've already selected sizing our market. So, and this is just for that central area. I want to see what people are doing in that area. I want to use the current year estimates, but maybe if I'm thinking about the future, I will use some projections, but I'm just going to use the current year estimates. And I can choose total expenditure. And then here again, we have all of the lists of things people are possibly purchasing, and they break down into smaller lists. If we want total food and beverages, that's just one big lump right there. And then here, alcohol, beer, and ale breaks down to wine. Let's just go back a little bit here to total expenditures and look at, I'm going to look at total gifts. Or, yes. How much are people spending on gifts? All right, and here we go. And then we'll just get a value here, records from 63,016 households with a pretty good chunk of money right there spent in that area, in that central Tampa area, 59 million, almost 60 million on gifts of some kind here. So this is just a lump total number. So you may be able to tease that out in some of these areas. Okay, we can go back here and look at apparel and services. These are total gifts. And we want to see perhaps what, what kind of apparel people are buying as gifts. Oh, jewelry, let's see. Let's see how much people are spending on jewelry in the central area. And here we go. There's 63,000 households in that area. They spent 4.2 million on jewelry of some kind. So that could be of interest to you if that's your thing. So there you go. That is an overview of demographics now. You basically, again, see that it all does run on census data and demographics that you can look at pretty much as either the straight census data and comparisons. You can see the numbers. You can see it as a map. You can adjust the map to a size or a location that you want to see. And you can then also run reports off of that map or just in general, setting filters at the top here. And it breaks down things into discrete items. We're looking at expenditures, which I think is of interest to business professionals. All right, back at our business and investments page, we're going to look at one final database that may be of interest to you, and that is the Business Insights and Essentials. Now this one is going to give you information about industries and businesses nationwide, and we can see right here on the front page basically the main things that you would get from this. You can do the company and industry profiles, you can get SWOT reports, market share reports, and financial reports. I know those are important for business students and business people of all types, so that's pretty much what you're going to probably like most about this database. But there is, of course, some articles in general reading about any of these topics, industries or companies as well, that you can search and just find out more. So if you want to find out about a certain company, you can just start by entering the name of the company or their ticker symbol as you see here. But you also have the company information here. You can do industry searching here, and then you can compare companies and industries. So some great functionality there. Let's take a look at just a few examples. So if we want to do a company finder, okay, so let's take a look here at how this works. So of course you can do your SIC codes and your NAICS codes, revenue, employees, state, any of that stuff. We're going to start with United States. Oops. United States. State that, let that get into the right place. And then if we wanted to see what's going on in Florida, and then we'll come on down to Tampa. Update. All right, that's good enough. 594 companies found. You can make a list of those companies if you like, and here we go. There's a bunch of them down here. Let's choose Outback Steakhouse, and we'll go further into this database. And here's the record for Outbacks, and you can see, excuse me, you can see that it gives you some sort of like similar companies / competitor kind of stuff, and the breakdown, the NAICS codes here, and what all services Outback offers. So lots of good company information there. All right, so just looking at some of these main things real quick. If we want to see the SWOT report, we can click right into that. Now, of course, not every business will have a SWOT report. So there are, let's see, 2,000 reports in here right now. And the best you can do is you could search for one to see if it comes up, or you can just try to look at some recent ones for examples, and we can adjust that by the publication date here if we want to see something recent. Daewoo, Bath and Body Works, and I'll just show you an example. So there you go. There's your SWOT chart and some information there. So that's pretty helpful. Take a browse through that. And of course, if we want our financial reports, we can take a look there, see how companies are doing. And again, there may not be a financial report for every company at the moment. 6,000 records though. So take a look there. You can search for a company, and let's try Bloomin' Brands. Let's see what comes up. All right, so Bloomin' Brands here in Tampa has a financial report, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay, and then we see some similar companies, possible competitors. We get their code, the NAICS code, and then basic information about them. Very nice. And this brings us to the other stuff, of course, that we may be interested in. We've looked at the main company, so we can kind of go to all that stuff. So if you want to see rankings and market share reports, here's what a market share looks like. It's a very short and sweet report. And this one's from a number of years ago, but back in 2014, they were, looks like number 3 in the market share. Bloomin' Brands. And we can see rankings here. All right, so these should all be mentioning Bloomin' Brands, 2016, 2014, 13. So the dates are a little bit all over the place. Some breaking news there. So largest corporations in the US 2018, so they're in there somewhere. Let's see here. There they are, number 584. I'm glad I didn't scroll through that. And so you see the kind of information you can get from Business Insights Essentials here. And then one final thing you might want to do is compare industries or companies. And so we're going to add a company. All right. Lumen Brands. All right, so there's their chart. Suffering from the COVID crisis right here, we can see. And then we can just add another business. And let's see here. All right. And I just chose randomly Chipotle. I don't know why. I mean, they're pretty different businesses, but they are both restaurants that I thought of. So you can see who's doing what. Chipotle seems to be just thriving these days, even though they had that thing back here where they had the tainted lettuce or something, if I remember right. So they have recovered from that, and they have gone skyward. Maybe it's time to invest. All right, my friends, that is the basics of Business Insights Essentials, taking a look at what's going on out there in American businesses or maybe global businesses or industries, seeing the SWOT reports, seeing market share and financial reports, and comparing one, two, or multiple businesses in one chart. I'd like to thank you for sharing this time with me today. If you would like to contact the library, please contact 813-273-3652 or hcplc.org/contact. And also check out our upcoming classes and events at hcplc.org/events. Once again, my name is Eric Hughes, and it was a pleasure talking to you today.